What's up, YouTube? It's once again another day with the one and only Billy J. Today I'm going to continue with my award-winning series of the Bible stories. Last we left off, it was at the end of the Biblical World War, and Abram had a meeting with the king of Sodom, where they decided to part ways. So sometime after Abram had his meeting with the king of Sodom, Abram had another vision from God. Kind of disappointed, Abram asked God, "Where are my children? Sarai and I have been trying, and you know it, but she is still not pregnant with my heir. And because of this, when I die, all my stuff is going to go to someone else's kid." And in response, God told Abram, "I'll be damned if some other kid is going to inherit this kingdom I am setting up for you. Your heir will come from you, Abram." And once again, God promised Abram that as many stars in the night sky, so shall be his seed. So then Abram asked God, "When will I inherit all this land? I have been waiting quite patiently." So God says, okay, I'll tell you, but you gotta do something for me first. You gotta kill a heifer, a she-goat, a ram, a turtle dove, a pigeon, and a partridge in a pear tree, and make an offering to me. So Abram gathered all the animals and slaughtered them and offered them to God on the altar. All day nothing happened except some vultures had to be scared away. And it wasn't until Abram fell asleep that God worked his magic. Io, the heir apparent to Abram's kingdom, all of a sudden slipped into a coma from which he never woke. And then once again God spoke to Abram. God told Abram that his descendants will be strangers in a strange land and will serve the current owners of that land. So basically they'll be slaves for 400 years. But don't worry, because God's going to judge those people that owned your people. And once your people are freed after 400 years of slavery, God is going to bless them with substance. And God told Abram that he will die at a good old age, whatever age that is. And God said that his descendants shall inherit the land from the Nile to the Euphrates and all the people in between. And he'll give them great substance for all their suffering, which my guess is probably the oil. My question is, why must the descendants be slaves? I'm not sure I'd want to have kids if I knew they were going to be enslaved for the next 400 years. So after Abram's conversation with God, he wakes up or comes back or whatever happens, and he talks to his wife Sarai about all the things that God told him. Sarai somehow believes that she is barren and can't have kids. Perhaps maybe Abram is just shooting blanks. Who knows? So because Sarai thinks it's her fault, she offers Abram her handmaiden. She tells Abram, "Go ahead, go sleep with my handmaiden. She's Egyptian, she's exotic looking, she's younger, and if she has a kid, then we could raise it." So Sarai was totally fine with Abram sleeping with her, all until she actually did become pregnant. I guess she is secretly hoping that Abram was shooting blanks. So Sarai became jealous of Hagar, the handmaiden, and she went to Abram and told him some lies. She told Abram that Hagar was despising her ever since she became pregnant. So rather than to get in between these two women, Abram put his hands up and said, "Hagar is your handmaiden. You can do as you please, Sarai." So Sarai basically beats the living shit out of Hagar. And this is so upsetting that Hagar runs away. Well, Hagar ran away, and one day she was near a fountain and she was drinking the water, when an angel from heaven came down and spoke to her. The angel asked Hagar, "What's going on? Why are you leaving?" So Hagar tells the angel what happened. So the angel tells her to go back and to submit thyself under her hand, which basically means to go back to your enslavement to Sarai. But he gives her some good news. He gives her one of the angelic sonograms and tells her that she's having a son. And because of her suffering that God had heard, she shall name her son Ishmael. And he will be a wild man, whatever that's supposed to mean. So Hagar does as she's instructed by the angel and goes back to Abram's camp. And she eventually has her son Ishmael, and Abram becomes the first-time father at the ripe old age of 86. Couldn't God have done all this with Abram when Abram was a younger man? And maybe he wouldn't have to work his magic to get Sarai pregnant. I'm guessing Sarai is probably around the same age as Abram, so if she's 86, then no wonder she can't get pregnant. She already went through menopause. But these are biblical times, and who knows, maybe they don't have menopause back then. But congratulations to Abram for having his first child, even though he's a bastard son. But that's going to do it for this episode. Remember, peace, love, unity, respect. Peace out, guys.
What if God